Good evening, folks. Hope everything is working okay. I'm trying Streamlabs OBS tonight because I can't leave well enough alone. What's going on, Wolf and P-Dub? You are correct. You are correct, sir. Now, I really ramped up my bitrate transfer, so I'm hoping I don't get those encoding overload issues. You're not supposed to run it above 3500 for Twitch, and I got mine cranked up to 6000. I got the bandwidth for it. I don't know, we'll see what happens. I think playing on the emulated server on Asheron's Call, there was some less than ideal connectivity between the game client and whatnot. Which is to be expected. No idea what I'm doing. No freaking idea. Going to the bank. Apparently I have 700 plat on me. Oh, that's right, I sold Shiny Brass Idol. I had forgotten. Let's get comfy. So while I'm here, I'll stock up on food and water. Oh shit, derp. Sorry. I forgot to, yeah. Thanks for that. Knew I was forgetting something. Come on. There we go. There we go, and there we go. Forgot to switch to... You have to tell it what game to pick up. The way I have it set up, you have to tell it what game to pick up, and it was still trying to pick up Asheron's Call. Let's shift. A little shifting. I love OBS for a variety of reasons. It's easy to set up, It's free. It's open source, which means other people can make versions of it. You know, like the Streamlabs OBS is fully incorporated into the Streamlabs and has a bunch of built-in themes and stuff. You know, that you can. Not that I use any of that stuff, but it's there if you want to. Very nice, very nice, very nice, and it's free. Because it's open source. I'm a big fan of open source. It runs well. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It has a lot of customization options. You can change everything. And the latest version of OBS, you can undock all the different sections on the platform and just have them, like, if for whatever reason, if you need your scene selector on your main screen, for example, you can pop it off of the main window that the program's running in, and you can move it wherever you want. Each panel is dockable, so it's very nice. That's it. And did I mention it's free? Nothing against XSplit. It's fine. It's a fine piece of software. But with all the people doing streaming now, and a lot of people on very tight budgets, OBS is a godsend. I have no idea. I have no idea. I want to go over to Gathorn if anybody shows up. If I'm stuck soloing, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Oh, I know, it's horrible. Fat bastard. As long as we don't go in any dungeons, I don't care. I hate taking this guy into dungeons without a shaman or shrink potions. I'm too cheap to buy shrink potions. Running the air and my sinuses are getting all dried out from it. Oh, it's irritating as hell. It's really. If I would have thought about that prior to making the character, I wouldn't have made an Ogre. I would have made an XR. Yeah. Yep. They do have good stats, and that, you know, not fly. Caught a fly accidentally. That no getting stunned from the front thing is very nice. But is it worth it? Why does it seem so zoomed in? It's like I'm right on top of the camera. So I have no idea what's going on. I might actually hop onto one of my alts until folks come on, if they do. And if they don't, then I'm on an alt. So. And they feel like they go so slow. Halflings. Let's kill halflings. Well, where the heck am I at? He's pretty easy to solo on. I don't even bother fear kiting. I just murder stuff. He's pretty well geared up. So he doesn't have too many issues. You know, like a blue, for example. Doesn't have too many issues at all soloing blues. The average blue. If I was playing like another race, then I'd probably be more kitey. But he's a beast. And then when he gets wounded, I just find some greens to suck the life out of to heal back up, and I'm done with that. Pretty easy to solo on, all things considered. There, that's what I'm looking for. They're all green, I'll bet you. I want to increase my faction with the Dark Elves. Dead halflings are a good way to go about that. Mayor Gubbins worse. No, nothing. No bonuses to the Dark Elves at all. It's not worth it then. I don't want to piss off Mayor Gubbin any more than I have to. Look, it's Dritz. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, I did. Read most of the D&D related books. Had to, kind of. Mandatory reading. Master Woopal. Don't take this to mean I condone the killing of halflings, because I don't. But sometimes even halflings have to die. Leatherfoot Raider Skullcap. Isn't that used for something? Oh no. The trolls always got like mangled dwarves laying around. Probably pretty tasty. Nice and tender. Lots of meat on the bones. You know, I mean, for as small as they are. And you got pickled halfling's feet. Master Woopal. Yeah, get yourself a nice fine steel spear somewhere and a campfire. And last but not least, Neat. Never done that before. Aces, what's going on? It's a raid. Hide the drugs. There's supposed to be orcs here. Some shadow men up there. Generally a good idea to avoid. Not potato. Just waiting for everybody to log on. Or not, as the case may be. So how is everybody this fine evening? What day is this? Friday? Is it Friday? Is it Friday? Thursday. Thursday. This weekend eve. For those of you taking part in the raid, this is EverQuest, Project 1999. That's what server it is. Yeah. It only encompasses the first 3 expansions. Well, the base game, Kunark, Legends of Kunark, or no, Ruins of Kunark, and Scars of Helios. And that's it. And that's as far as it's going to go. That's classic as you're going to get. 60 yet? Just about. Just about. Yo, Whitey, what's going on? I do play on the live servers as well, but primarily we do the P99 thing. Someone's killing orcs. Poor fella. Poor fella. And as you can tell, EC Tunnel auction chat. I really have no idea what that means, P-Dub. I mean, I have a vague idea, of course, but... See, there's Lion Face again. This is the Duxa UI. It's part of the Duxa installer. Do you see it? Do you see it? See the lion's face? I make everybody look at this. There's the nose, and the eyes, and the whiskers there and there, and then the you know, the upper part of the face, and the mouth is open. See it? It's either that or a Cocker Spaniel. I haven't figured out which. I'm going to say lion. Well, I first noticed it in South Carolina, and I was hunting lions at the time, so I made the mental association with lions. So it's a lion. But yeah, I can see the puppy too with the big old floppy ears. Every one of those types of trees has it, if you're looking at it from the right angle. See. Which only makes sense since they're basically copy-paste. Nonal hosted me? Who's Nonal? I didn't know he could host on YouTube. I didn't know that was the thing over there. If I had known, I would have been doing it all along. Or did he host me on Twitch? That's how Shadow Knight's buff. It's Wilmy. Coming over to WC because that's where the Druid Ring is, so if anybody is logging on, that's where I'll meet him at. Oh, excuse me. What? No goals? See? Lion's face. It's a straggler from the pack, so you got to take it out. Keeps the herd strong. Nobody's camping derbs. There's a bear. Always on the lookout for high quality bear pelts. That's not one. Oh, bother. What shall we do? Where'd that bear go? Oh, there he is. He was stealthed. And that is not one. Alright, well, we're 0 for 2 so far. Saw something today that really irritated the hell out of me, and I forget what it was now. You see, John Cleese is moving out of England. He's sick of their shit, and he's just leaving. He says, "Screw you! I'm taking my money and moving to the Bahamas." Oh, the Caribbean. Is somebody else here? Hello? I see dead orcs, but I don't see any people. I'd like to do some hunting in Kithcord tonight. Finally high enough level to do that. John Cleese, of course, from Monty Python's Flying Circus and Faulty Towers and other such delectable bits of entertainment. What is that? Oh, I don't want that. Time is it? 7 a.m. Now, all the undead are sleeping. So we're gonna go get a coffee. I'll be right back in just a moment. Keep an eye on things, will you? Alright. I'm back, sorry about that. Grabbed a little snack while I was away. You going to bed? Love you. Sleep well. Anybody on? Anybody on? Nobody. Okay, I'm going to switch tunes then. Dispersing, what's going on? How's tricks? Please don't buff me, I'm logging off. It's the only buffed necros I get, so. My chair. The beast, my daughter. I started chewing on the arm of it. Oh, was she? I didn't hear that. Wait, Stormy Daniels? Isn't that the porn star that Trump paid hush money to? No, never playing my bard again. Or my druid again. Who do I want to play? Do I want to make a new character? Yeah, we'll hop on this guy. So the whole outside edge of the arm of my chair is all chewed up. Because she chewed a hole in it. And then she just kept picking at it after that. Ugh. Did you see the Gaudy interrogation on Stork? And the shit show that went along with that? Holy crap, that was awful. That was awful. Is that druid hill? You don't want to kill bears when druids are around, they take offense to it. But they are not here. That means your life is forfeit. Look at that moves. That's intimidate. Shiny brass idol, 700p. I guess that's fair market value. I have no idea. It's one of those Raider things I don't read. Oh, you know what we could do? Since we're on the monk, we could actually work on our headbands. We really need to get on that. Tommy found some old pictures of one of me and my siblings from the very early 90s, and another one you know, early 2000s, I think, of, you know, opening up the game shop. Hill Giant. Let's kill that. It's probably going to be EQ for the rest of the weekend, right up through the weekend. Then I'll be back on the Asheron's Call servers. Probably Sunday night. Probably Sunday night. So that's a very loose, tentative schedule. Bingo. I'm rooted. I like to kill these ghouls. Some low levels that are going over to Befallen always encounter them, and it makes for an unpleasant, well, encounter. I'm always farming, always looking for stuff, trade skill materials and whatnot. So that's why I kill so many greens. And there's a shit ton of spiders in WC. I wonder why he didn't run. Normally they run. Nanamoose. Nanamoose, what's going on? What's the good word? The original one? Or is there a remake of some sort? No, I have not. Always wanted to try out number one. Not nearly enough Western games, in my opinion. Just never had the opportunity. Console, oh, yeah. Damn console people. Act like they have rights. I want to get one. I do want to get an Xbox One. Not too keen on the PlayStation. Nothing against PlayStation, I just don't want one. For me, I can fix an Xbox One. I have a better understanding of how it works. I'm very comfortable tearing one apart and doing what needs to be done. Not so much on a PS4. And Halo. Can't forget Halo. As soon as you're done messing around with that tree, we'll get to business. What are you doing? I just like Halo. I like the story. I like Alright, Asus, thanks for the host and the raid and all that stuff. No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Sony. It's just if I, my preference is Xbox. Sony's fine. Sony does a good job. They always have. No complaints. As long as they don't try running any more MMOs, I guess. You're gonna start a console war. So that's a war I could get behind. Not this ideological stuff we're facing now. A console war. To the victor go the market shares. Oh, you weren't done. Sorry. I would guess the Sony people, to be honest with you. My preference of the Xbox has nothing to do with my preference of Microsoft over Sony. It's just I feel very comfortable tearing one of their consoles apart and tinkering with it, and Halo. You can't get Halo on the PlayStation. That was my deciding factor for getting the 360. I just really like Halo. Yeah, I remember them fondly. Content between Sony and or PlayStation and Xbox really isn't all that great. They generally have all the games, that with very few exceptions. Hey, why are you here? This isn't where you're supposed to be. Go somewhere else. I'm trying to play a game here. Fine, we'll leave. We'll go over here. Except for, a few key titles, like the Final Fantasy franchises, only PlayStation, the Halo franchises, only Xbox. Android people are definitely much different from Apple people. That I will give you. Now that I don't know much about. I've never really taken part in that. I did download King's Quest not too long ago. I don't think any AA title would limit itself to just one platform. That'd be well, silly. Silly, 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 silly. I set up this thing to send out messages. This what is it? Stream Elements. And I don't think I have it set up right. And why the hell is Wisebot doing anything? I didn't even activate Wisebot tonight. I've been tinkering again. Oh, cracks. Oh, cracks. I'm going to have to disagree with you hardcore on that. And I can validate it. When you buy an Apple product, everything about it is proprietary. Every single thing. The operating system, the hardware, everything. Everything is proprietary. The apps for the phones. You can't tinker with an Apple product the way you can with the PC. I'm not necessarily saying Microsoft, just PC. Upgrades are much more difficult to achieve. And the biggest factor, you're paying twice as much for half the computer. Now, do I think there's a place in the world for Apple products? Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed using Macs when I was doing graphic design work back in the day. Now, Windows I hate. Windows I absolutely hate, but I love PC. Two different critters. If I had my druthers, I'd be using a Linux-based operating system right now. But I can't really disagree with you, Cracks, because I don't know enough about it. As far as the stability goes, you know, it's a complex system, and like any complex system, you're going to have issues. I don't want a brand that bad. And really, when you're buying an Apple product, oh, I hate that shit. Yeah, I'm right up there with you, P-Dub. Don't get me wrong. Ain't got a bit of use for Windows. Unfortunately, you're pigeonholed into using it if you want to do live streams. You can do everything except for 99% of the games on Linux, but you can't do the games. Now, if I was just doing, you know, like sitting here chit-chatting with you guys, if there ever comes a point in time where I decide I just don't want to play video games anymore, I'm going to get rid of Windows. Period. I don't need it. Just need it for the games. But until that day comes, no, I use LibreOffice. It's free. It's cluttering up your system. It's blocking security holes. 99% of your updates are security holes. Yeah. I don't use cell phones or handheld devices or anything. I mean, I have this crappy little tablet up here, but the sole reason I have it is so that I can get my security code for Twitch. Yeah, that's it. Because you have to use some form of mobile device for whatever god-awful reason. I don't have a cell phone. So when these companies tell you, you know, we're going to text you your security code or install this app on your phone, well, what the hell? I don't have a phone. Why do you automatically assume I have one? So I had to get this crappy little tablet just for that one app, and that's all it does. The rest of the time it just sits there turned off. Anything I can do on a tablet, I can do on a PC twice as better and twice as easier. So, twice as gooder. No cell phone. I haven't had a cell phone since Blackberries were cool. Let me tell you, it's the greatest decision I ever made in my life. I'm free. When I leave the house, Bermino, what's going on? I saw you on the P99 thing the other day. No, we're very up to date technologically. I just refuse to have that shackle around my. When I noticed that I was looking at my phone while somebody was talking to me, that's when I realized it was time for me to get rid of the cell phone, because it was the rudest thing I'd ever done in my life, and I'm not a rude person. I'm a very polite, courteous person. And I would frequently catch myself right in the middle of somebody's conversation checking Facebook statuses or whatever. You know, whatever stupid shit you do on the phone. And that was it. I was done. I do take it personally. Girlfriend's horrible about it. Her dad is notorious for picking up his phone while he's driving, and she'll snatch it out of his hand. I am in this car, and as long as I'm in this car, you're responsible for my health and well-being. Hey, there it is. I was hoping that would pop up. Good. I just read a map. That's all. I just read a map. See, then that's the thing for me. That's kind of the point that I'm trying to make. The reliance on phones makes it so that if and when a time ever comes when you don't have access to those phones anymore, you're fucked. You're totally and truly fucked. Because you're not going to have the skills to read a map, for example, because you don't have that little icon painting your path for you. Oh yeah, Tommy, finding all those old pictures. I'm really tempted to post one of them just so you can see how dorky I was back in the 90s. Yeah, I got rid of it, and it was the greatest decision I ever made. I'm not trying to be judgmental. I'm not. Because you're not going to use both, Chunky. Anytime people are given the option of easier or more difficult, they're always going to take the easier path. It's human nature. It's just the way it is. I do it, you do it, everybody does it. Nobody's intentionally going to do something that requires more work. No, it wouldn't for me. No. If there comes a time when you don't have access to cellular networks for whatever reason, you can still pick up a map, a road map. You can go to a convenience store and take one off the shelf or something about that. It's a dependency issue. God, what am I trying to say? I don't want to come off sounding all judgy. I don't. I really don't. This was my personal life experiences. You want to use a cell phone, use a goddamn cell phone. I don't care. It makes no difference to me. It has no impact on my life, unless you're the guy texting on your phone when you rear end the car that I happen to be in. Because I've had that happen too many times in the past. It creates a dependency. The cell phones create a dependency. You don't believe me? Spend 24 hours without your phone. That's everybody's challenge. Everybody watching right now, your challenge is to spend 24 hours without your cell phone. Turn it off, put it in a drawer, and don't touch it for 24 hours. I dare you. If you make a statement like, I can't live without my cell phone, you should probably start living without your cell phone. Yeah, it absolutely does. And by design, P-Dub. That's by design. They want you using that. They want you paying your bill. They want you maintaining your service. They want that money coming in. We got rid of ours the same time, the girlfriend and I. Now when we go on walks, we do this crazy thing. We talk to each other. We look at the scenery. We look at all the old buildings in town and talk about them. It's crazy. It's bizarre. Okay. Firmino, there comes a time where you don't have the option of going to the grocery store and buying your own food. Then what do? So many things have been forgotten as a direct result of cell phone use. Communication skills. Number one, communication skills. Communication skills have taken such a shit since the introduction of mobile devices. I remember walking down the street saying hi to people. Maybe it shouldn't be so easy. Maybe that's part of the problem. People are too in touch with one another. People have no separation anymore. People are always involved in each other's lives now, in one degree or another. You can't get privacy anymore. Privacy is nothing you can achieve anymore. Even if your phone's off, your life is still blasted out there. No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with the advantages. It's the way it's been abused by the manufacturers, by the providers, the service providers. If they would have what am I trying to say? They took a very nice tool, like a hammer, and coated it in crack, is what they did. It could have been a very nice tool. Instead, they made it an absolute life necessity. No, no worries. No, I'm not worried about that. I mean, you get mad about cell phones. It's obviously your first time here. They've destroyed lives. They've destroyed the art of conversation. They've destroyed families in the name of fun and profit. That's what I like about mine. My girlfriend's a millennial. She's young. She's 25, but she was never one of those, you know. And that's kind of why it works. Socializing skills are a thing of the past. Yes, it's very difficult to carry on a conversation with people anymore. You know, and even my disassociation with mobile devices, I'm still very technologically connected. I'm in front of the computer all day, so you know, I'm not innocent here by any stretch. I'm very reliant on technology. If shit goes down, it's going to hurt me too. What's going on, Blasson? Or Blasson, if you're French. How much of this conversation is being lost, though? Simply due to the fact that one half of the conversation is text. I can't see body language. I can't see. I can't hear inflection. How many times have you taken part in a conversation via text and completely misunderstood what it was somebody was trying to say, simply because they worded it poorly? We have a rule in the Gaming Life Discord where you're not supposed to take anything that's written as text as an insult, because you just don't know. And if there's any question about the intent behind the message, then clarification in voice chat is required. You know, especially amongst the staff. And it's a very good rule, a very helpful rule. So many things get misinterpreted via text. Read a book. You read a book, I read a book. We both read the same book, but we're both going to come away with completely different images in our minds of what it was that the writer was trying to convey. And this is a writer using prose, you know, not just a text message, you know, where not all the flavor text is left out. And even then, you're still coming away with two completely different visual images, or mental images. I applaud the invention of the mobile device. I really do. I think it has the potential to be a great tool for humans. And having seen them from day one, you know, from when, you know, those big old rickety car phones that they used to have back in the 80s, and, to what they become now, where they're life anchors for people. People keep their entire lives in those things. People take their damn phone and swipe it. It is amazing. And if they had left it at that, it would have been great. But it also has all your credit card information. It also has your social security number. It also has every detail of your life contained within it, for anybody to access at any given time. So there is good. I'm not disputing the good. Not in the least. They could have achieved the same thing just by putting data terminals in place of all the cell phones, or not cell phones, payphones. Payphones. They could have done the same thing, and they could have made it a public work so you don't have to pay for it. You know. Yeah, our daughter will never have one. She'll never own a mobile device. And again, we are very technologically associated in this household. I have my computer, my daughter has her computer, the girlfriend has her, well, she has a tablet, because my daughter took over her computer. But that's it. When we leave the house, it stays here. All that stuff stays here, just like our television that we never use. It all stays in the house. And then when we go out as a family, we talk as a family, we enjoy things together as a family. We don't enjoy things separately because we're too busy doing this. And I see it happen all the time. I see families of people at like amusement parks and whatnot. And it saddens me. Family reunions. Whenever we go have a family reunion, my dad's side of the family, we do a reunion every year, and most of the conversations are people briefly answering questions so they can get back to their phones. Well, what I was talking about with the data terms, Chunky, it's an old cyberpunk thing. It's just a terminal that you can make phone calls on. But you can also Google things. You can also transfer documents, that kind of thing. You can scan images. I've been watching that dispersing. I'm not quite sure what to make of it, what's true and what's not. What I do know is it's going to give unprecedented levels of access to your personal life, to private companies and potential all government agencies by proxy. There's people that volunteer for that shit, the RF chips and whatnot. I like the interface. I like the keyboard, and I also like the fact that I can walk away from it. Because there's times when I've been sitting here, going through news articles and tinkering with stuff and putting things together and working on the stream and doing doing some graphics work and editing videos, and I just get overloaded, and and I just need to get up and walk away. Costs less than $40 a month. Yeah. Now, if I had a job that required it, I would use it. This is going to sound so contradictory. My biggest fantasy has always been the ability to just jack in, plug in the cable and surf, hands-free. This coming from somebody who can't stand cell phones, because even then I can still unplug. You know what I mean? But I can jack in and just go. That's always been my thing, just being completely immersed by it. Ever since I first read about it in Cyberpunk 2020, I thought that would be the most amazing thing ever. Well, I'm not talking big iron spike in the back of your skull. I'm talking like a little data jack or something. Matrix took it a little too far. Freaking putting daggers in your skull to surf the internet. Yeah, the downside is, somebody would just have to surge your connection. I mean, there'd have to be protections in place to prevent that kind of thing, but somebody could just send a power surge through your connection, and you're fried. But the ability to just completely immerse yourself in something like that, free, not with like goggles and hand things or anything like that. Actually free to just walk down this avenue of data, find the bit that you want, access it, read it, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to make the flu look like a walk in the park. I'm a big fan of technology, but I'm not a big fan of the abuse of technology. Ransomware, yeah. ICE. ICE, that's what they called it in Cyberpunk, ICE. That goes with anything, though. I'm a big fan of donuts. I'm not a big fan of the abuse of donuts. There is one downside to having access, that level of access to technology or information, though, is it makes it easy. Easy's never good. Easy doesn't require work, and when you work for something, you appreciate it more, you remember it more. It has more of an impact. You know what I mean? But when something's handed to you, it's not. Well, the same goes with information. You're much more likely to retain information that you took the trouble to research, to look up in a musty old tome, than something you just Googled. Yeah, there's a great correlation. Old MMOs versus new MMOs. This freaking game is 19 years old and people are still playing it. I quit playing World of Warcraft after a year and a half. I hopped back on the other night. Well, the last couple nights I've been on. Just this chunky? You gotta disagree on more than this or it's gonna be a boring night. It's one thing I've never done, and I never will. Now, I have banned people, but it wasn't for disagreeing. It wasn't for having a differing opinion. It was for being a net loss to the conversation. People so toxic that they brought nothing to the table. You could after they added the Dungeon Finder, yeah. Now, I was at WoW back in BC when people still talk to each other. And I was there through some of the changes, I believe, but No, I understand that. Well, we're just strictly speaking longevity. People that played EQ back in the day, a lot of them still play it. Most modern MMOs, 2 years tops. And there's a reason for that. Here you go. Here you go, Chunky. Here's my philosophy on MMOs and why I think they're dead. Do you have mommy issues? When UO, EQ, Asheron's Call, all the older games. I'm sticking with those three because I consider those three the first true MMOs. Ultima being first, EverQuest being second, Asheron's Call being the third, but all within a very short time span. When they were created by gamers, tabletop gamers that wanted to make a video game that simulated that experience. So they went into the design process with that in mind. You're going to get together with a group of your friends. You're going to have an adventure. Fun will be afoot. No, MUDs aren't MMOs. It's a completely different thing. EverQuest showed the developers that you could do something like that and do it profitably, where you could get a large audience because they were the first to break 1 million. Then other companies started getting into the MMO process, into the MMO game. But they were game companies that were designing MMOs from a game company standpoint or from a game developer standpoint. Yeah. So they're coming at it from the completely other side of the spectrum. They're coming at it from the purely digital side, whereas the guys who created Asheron's Call, Ultima Online, EverQuest are coming out from the analog side of the spectrum. And there's a reason why a lot of the newer games are going back to those old developers and pulling that talent into their newer games, like with Ashes of Creation. Pantheon. Pantheon is trying very hard to be like EverQuest. Why is that? Because EverQuest is 19 years old and it's still live. And there's no other MMO that can say that. Which will, despite any shortcomings the game may have, make EverQuest go down as the greatest MMO to ever exist, simply because of its longevity. I'm not saying it's the best game made. I'm not saying it has the best mechanics or the best this. Obviously, it doesn't have the best graphics. And there's a lot of flaws with the game. I don't like the fact that you can't solo in it, but it wasn't designed to be soloed. Despite what I'm doing now. But I'm not really working that hard, let's face it. But that's a personal thing. That's not like, yeah, you can't play D&D by yourself. Well, you can, but you look pretty fucking pathetic sitting at the lunch table with all your books laid out, rolling your dice. And we've all done it, so shut up. But with WoW, the next big MMO that came out, you could really see the change in approach. They approached it as a video game. And as a result, you get people with much shorter attention spans, which is the biggest harm cell phones are doing to people. Destroying people's attention spans. People can't focus on anything anymore because they're too inundated with data. They're too inundated with input. Signals constantly being blasted into your face. watching a YouTube video, and you got 800 ads all around the YouTube video, you know. So you got all that peripheral data just being shoved into your mind while you're trying to do something else. You didn't turn your ad blocker on, did you? Now I keep ads on, like when I'm watching YouTube videos or whatnot, because I am a yeah, they are, but they're also the people that think D&D 5.0 is a good thing. It is not because the system's easy to use. No, 4.0 was shit. But it was the complexity of. I enjoy 3.5, but I don't think it's the best expansion. It's the one I'd much rather use because it's the easiest one to use. But just like in EverQuest, part of the immersion was the complexity of the system. Once they started simplifying the system, the immersion started going with it. You never played D&D? Dude, Firmino, I feel so bad for you. Your parents abused you. It's fun. Well, when I say D&D, I'm talking any tabletop role-playing game. D&D is actually my least favorite. That's true, but there is a core system in place that people are going to quote to you when you're making a die roll, and they think they've succeeded and you think they've failed. That's what I liked about the old system, because it left things ambiguous. It gave the DM much more flexibility to tell a good story. Because people weren't so... It was so complex that people didn't give a shit about it. The system, I mean. Now everything's codified. Everything's very neatly laid out. The system is very simple. It's a D20, 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 D20. So there's a very distinct rule. There's a very specific rule. It's a D20 plus this plus this. No room for argument. No room for discussion. The older systems allowed arguments, allowed discussion, which again added to immersion. And I played them all. Played every freaking one of them. Had to, when I had the shop, I had to. Corpse runs, yeah. The best story-wise game I ever played in was a White Wolf game. You know, Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf, the Apocalypse, that kind of stuff. It was a mishmash of all the different games from the White Wolf company. The game went on 3, 4, 5, many years. We never earned XP. Our characters never advanced. I think in the entire time that we were playing the game, experience was handed out 2 times. And I'm talking over several years. At least 5. I don't remember exactly how long the game went. Every Sunday night. And nobody even noticed. Everybody's completely oblivious to the fact that their characters is almost exactly the same now as it was when they first created it. Because we were having so much fun with the game, because there was so much story involved. And that's simply because the system in White Wolf at the time, the D10 based dice pools, oh, I feared them. Hey, it worked. Intimidate worked. Was such a loosey-goosey objective system, or subjective system, that it allowed... It's kind of the opposite of the D&D system. D&D system was really complex. The White Wolf system was really simple, but it left a lot of room for interpretation. Cthulhu was all the original Cthulhu was all percentage based. It's all D100 rolls. But again, that was a system that focused on storytelling. The system became a secondary thing. And there were many times during that White Wolf game where we attempted to do something, and as long as you had a decent enough dice pool, there wasn't even a roll required. Excuse me, my tongue's wearing out. It hasn't been used as much in a while. Great game, great game. Oh my God, was that a good game? But those days are over. Just like the days of the MMO are over. MMOs are dead. There's no market for it anymore. People think they want to play MMOs, but they really don't. Everybody wants to play Fortnite. Easy in, easy out. That dopamine release that what was it, P-Dub was talking about earlier. It's got that in spades, or was that Anonymous? One of them. Somebody was talking about dopamine. I watch a lot of Fortnite streams as part of the gaming life thing, and never got that mad at D&D. And we've had some pretty heated arguments, but I've never broken anything. Now, these are all my opinions. You're going to disagree with me. You're going to have your own, and that's fine. That's fine. That's what makes life so interesting. People have different ideas, different opinions. Well, everybody interprets it differently. Everybody sees the world differently. And that's going to have an impact on how you view and react to things. Oh shit, I leveled. Wasn't even paying attention. Neat. Let's go into town. I probably got some skills waiting for me. God, I haven't been to town. Oh, we're always evolving. Always evolving. Devolving. Honestly, right now I think we're devolving as a species. When you evolve, you don't get dumber. And I know at least here in the United States, we're turning into some dumb motherfuckers. We really are. If the power grids were to go out in the United States tomorrow, 90% of the population would probably be dead by the weekend. Wait, weekend's tomorrow. But by next weekend, 90% of the population would probably be dead. All you'd have left are the preppers. And even half of them would be dead because they're just kidding themselves into thinking they know what they're doing. I wouldn't stand a chance. I'm not saying that because I think I would survive. I'd probably be one of those dead ones. But I could probably last at least until the third weekend. But that's only because I grew up learning how to do things. I had that kind of family. When you went to my grandmother's house, you read books. We had gardens. And we didn't even need gardens. We just had a garden just to learn how to plant food. My dad had a quarter acre or something like that he rented from a farmer just to learn how to grow food. But even then, you know, one infected paper cut and I'm doomed. Corpse runs a Pantheon. Pantheon, my problem with Pantheon, looks like a great game, looks like it's going to be a wonderful game. It keeps getting compared to EverQuest. It's just like EverQuest. It's just like EverQuest. It's just... Then why the hell don't I just play EverQuest? If it's just like EverQuest, why don't I just play EverQuest? Don't make a game like EverQuest. Make a game like Pantheon. I am kind of cynical though, so bear that in mind when we're having these conversations. I am a cynic. Going over to the Monk's Guild to see if I have any skills available to train up. And I do have to go get coffee here in a second. Oh, God, yeah. Got cold. That's how you know the conversations are good. Or that's how you know the conversations are good. My coffee gets cold. Piety? Piety? Must be a cleric. In the United States, you know, the countries that would have the greatest chance of survival in a situation like that, you know, like, let's just say global EMP pulse, it shuts down all the power grids all over the world. Just hypothetically. Those countries that stand the greatest chance of survival are all the third world countries. And what's sad about the United States are most people would die by being killed by other people. You have water, I want water, I'm going to kill you and take it. Because that's what we've devolved into as a culture. Oh, they'll be alright, they're underground. I mean, they use hydropower. So. What's going on, X? We were just talking about role-playing games, actually. And why first edition D&D is better than all other D&Ds combined. Advanced D&D, you know, that kind of thing. And I never realized, can you hear him making the groany noise when he feigns death? Listen. I never realized I did that before. That goes awesome. Sorry, but you're going to have to go now. I don't know what the hell that music is. From a system standpoint, from a mechanical standpoint, THACO is stupid. I'm not going to disagree with you there. But as we're discussing, it aids in the immersion. The complexity of the earlier systems aids in the immersion. Eagle Strike, woot. Fishing 1 or 0? Oh, we can't have that. Yeah, it is, but you know, it was new. It was new. But the discussion, at least my take on why the earlier systems were better, was because that complexity in the system left itself open to interpretation. Whereas with the D20 system, it's very specific. It's very cut and dry. But with the complexity of the original system, the advanced D&D, the red box, basic D&D, there was room for interpretation, which led to discussions. And discussions in a role-playing game always lead to greater immersion. So with the clunkier system, you got greater immersion. Now that we have a more streamlined system, the immersion seems to have gone away. Just finished Baldur's Gate 1. Took you long enough. The rest of us finished that back in the late 90s. All right, I got to hit the head. I'm sitting here doing the PPB dance. I'll be right back. Thank you all for hanging out with me so far tonight. I'm going to hit the head, go get a coffee, and then I'll be back. So go grab a sandwich. DMs make things overcomplicated. Having been a DM, and having DM'd a lot of games, a lot of different games, not just D&D, it's really not that difficult. You roll dice and you make it up. It's not a question of being fair. It's not a question of being accurate. It's a question of telling a good story. That's all that matters. Because in the end, it's the story that they're going to remember. So if you have to cheat to make the story flow better, you better cheat. That's your responsibility as a GM, Game Master. You know. Hitting the bank real quick, getting some food. I mean, don't be obvious about it, of course. You gotta create the illusion of fairness. But as a DM, you don't even need to know the rules of the game. In fact, I find they just get in the way. It's all role-playing is group storytelling. Well, that's fine. You're allowed. Yeah, I don't want to keep that. Food, food, food. You're not the guy that sells food. It's your buddy that sells food, isn't it? Why do you disagree wholeheartedly, though? You have to quantify the statement. You can't just make the statement. Oh, okay. All right, X, so why do you disagree? Sorry, I'm dying. Oh, throat's so dry. All right, I see the validity in your statement, I do. And there does need to be a cohesive set of rules for a system to function properly. I just don't think those rules should be applied to the GM. Because it's the GM's responsibility to make sure every other person at that table is having a good time, including himself. But the GM is effectively the host for this round of storytelling. 10:30. Why do I have two wintry clubs? I just don't understand my life. Yeah, doesn't matter. Not going to use it anyhow. Damage cap. Damage cap went up. And I've been in games where I've... Now that's different, but X. That's a different thing altogether. That's cheating for the sake of winning. And that's not what I'm talking about at all. That's a petty GM, and that's somebody who shouldn't be behind the screen. The GM's job, like I said, is to entertain... Oh, no way, you found that. I got that for my brother, Tommy, your uncle. I got that for your Uncle Joe. Years ago, your grandfather and I went to a wrestling show, and Ivan Koloff was there, signing autographs, photos. So I bought one, and I had every intention of giving it to your uncle, and I just forgot. Yeah, I won the tickets on the radio. Now quit distracting me. We're talking about stuff. What your GM was doing was cheating. What I'm proposing is making a better story. And sometimes that means giving the players an edge over the bad guys. And sometimes that means keeping the players in check a little bit. Because players will use the system and they'll abuse the system in ways that the GM just simply can't think of, because he's one person against 5 if you view it like that. And that's where a lot of GMs go wrong. They think it's me against the players, and it's not. It's a group effort. Everybody's there to tell the story. I'm just the narrator. So yeah, that is a bad thing, and that does happen when GMs cheat, but that's only because they think it's a competition, and it's not. There's nothing competitive about D&D. Nothing. About any of them, any of the role-playing games. There's no competition whatsoever, except for you against the bad guys. It's not the players against the GM. It's the characters against the bad guys. And the good guys are supposed to win. Unless it would be unless there's a good dramatic reason for making the good guys lose. What draws you into a story more than than John Wick's dog getting killed? No, the perfect DM isn't. It's not going to exist. Every DM has their strengths and weaknesses. Some are good storytellers. Some are better at the mechanical side of the gameplay. Some are good at the research. Some are good at the details. Whereas others, don't require any of those things. I told you about the Cyberpunk game I played in. Game went on for 2-3 years. Every night, or once a week, every week for 2 or 3 years, we'd get together and play Cyberpunk. And it was this amazing game. Detailed characters, memorable villains, a cause, a purpose for our merry band of misfits to come together and try to overcome. All those things that make a good game. The DM really put his time into it, put a good story into it, and really put forth the extra effort. Used the system when he needed to, ignored it when he should. At the end of the campaign, when the big showdown finally occurred, he showed us his notebook, and it was completely empty, completely blank. Every single aspect of that game was off the cuff. Nothing planned, nothing written down. Now, the White Wolf game that I was talking about was the opposite. He wrote down everything, but it was all narrative. There was nothing system-based in the notes. All his notes were pure narration. But that was White Wolf, and White Wolf is geared for that. It was all about the story. But this guy was a writer, so it just came naturally to him. Ed's Legend of the Five Rings game was incredibly memorable because of the story wasn't anything fabulous, wasn't anything amazing, but he was able to do the political manipulation that game required. And I think a lot of it is the game that the person decides to run. I hate running D&D. We got sidetracked by something. Sorry. Where were we at? Yeah, Ed was very good at the political machinations that go into a Legend of the Five Rings game, because that's all it is. It's all politics. The combat in the game was so lethal that you didn't want to get into a fight unless you absolutely had to, because there was a better than average chance that you were going to die. So the combat was always the last resort in that game, and it was made that way for a reason. Yeah, L5 art was great, and then it went D20, like everything else. And it lost a lot because it had a very similar system when it first came out to the White Wolf system. Similar, but not the same. It was all 10-sided dice pools, skills and traits, and very good system for talking, discussing things. Yeah, I don't know. But then you had systems like GURPS, or well, yeah, GURPS. We'll just stick with GURPS. GURPS was horrible because every aspect of your character had a rule for it. You know, the color of their hair, roll a die. It went the exact opposite of the White Wolf system, and everything was based on a die roll. Every single thing. Yeah, I didn't care for GURPS. It was too much. It was too overwhelming. But there are people that like that, and that's okay. You know, it's just that's okay. Yeah, you're constantly flipping back and forth from charts. Consult chart 3A, table 5. Yeah, GURPS was just over the top. But Bunnies and Burrows was a lot of fun. I don't know if you ever played Bunnies and Burrows, but we had a hell of a good time with that. And that was one of the GURPS supplements. You missed out, unfortunately, on the heyday of tabletop RPGs. The pre-D20 era. So once D20 hit, and they made it basically open source, a lot in the gaming industry changed. Everything went to D20 after that point, because it was just easier. You didn't have to make a new system, you just had to make a new setting. So it was kind of a sad thing. Yeah, it was. And this was before you could just download them off Pirate Bay. So you actually had to go out and get the books. High quality bearskin. There we go. That's why we kill them. Dropped 507 frames tonight. What the hell's going on? Did anybody notice any issues with the stream tonight? I've been having encoder issues. I need a new computer is what it is. But that's going to be a little while yet. Was ist los? L5R, you got a character book when you rolled up your character. You didn't have to, of course. You could just do it on a character sheet, but everybody wanted the character books. Because one of the things about the game was going into your character's backstory and affiliations and associations and whatnot. And people would fill them damn books up. And, I appreciated it because I was a shop owner, so that meant they were spending money. But yeah, good times, good times. It's the nature of these things. The nature of these things is to simplify, to homogenize. I think you would have really enjoyed the pre-D20 experience, though. Every game was unique. Every game was different. Every game had its unique system. Star Wars was all 6-siders. White Wolf was all 10-siders. L5R was all 10-siders. Call of Cthulhu was all percentage based. So you used D100s. And each game's system added to the game's flavor, because the game and the game and the system were made at the same time. The system was kind of made to fit the game, fit the genre, fit the mental imagery. That really detracted from gameplay too. We'd only use minis back in the day for well, nothing. We hardly ever, only if like there was an extreme argument over people's placement during combat. But no, we hardly ever, we'd make minis. We'd have a miniature figure on the table to represent our character, but that he basically just sat there in front of your character sheet all night. I mean, everybody wanted to do a mini for their character, because if people got into their characters, people took them a little more seriously. They took their games more seriously. I don't know what that says about the people, but yeah. And now it's moved more in the direction of a board game, which was 4.0 in a nutshell. 4.0 was nothing but a board game. 5.0, despite my earlier statement, did pull back from that, which was a good thing. But I could understand why Hasbro would want to push it in that direction too, because they have to sell product. And they took a big risk on picking up that kind of all that kind of game. But they took that because they got Magic. Let's face it. The only reason they took D&D is because it came with Magic, the Gathering. You mean tabletop or video games or what? What type of games? My favorite tabletop game is Cyberpunk. Without, it's not even competition. I like the genre. I like the system. I like the terminology. Everything about Cyberpunk just really tripped my trigger. I can't really say that I have a favorite video game. I like video games. I mean, the Fallout games were, of course, great, but they were great because of the storytelling, not necessarily because of the gameplay. I like Overwatch because of the gameplay. I hate Overwatch because of the community. It's so toxic. I like Asheron's Call for the memories. Same reason I like EverQuest. But yeah, as far as tabletop goes, Cyberpunk, bar none. Hands down. Hands down. Yeah, the girlfriend and I will play. We got some cards, decks and whatnot. It's nothing even remotely tournament worthy. Just fun decks. But we'll crack them out every once in a while. And Tommy plays too. Well, Tommy spent a lot of time in my shop. He used to be a pokey brat. No. When he'd come down and visit me in the summer, we'd spend all summer in the shop, and he loved it. Got to hang around with all the big guys playing the old games the way they were meant to be played. And got exposed to a lot of really neat influences. Pokemon was a surprisingly good game. Yeah, it really was. I guess you can make a strong argument for that. Booster packs are loot boxes. Let's face it. I thoroughly enjoy Magic the Gathering. I do. But I'll never play it as a tournament player again. Is that Anonymous? Is that you? Right, Tommy and I used to play all the time. I love it. The mechanics of the Pokemon is really good. It's just all those cute fuzzy critters that irritate the hell out of me. But the gameplay itself was really well done. Now, my favorite card game of all time, though, is going to be Legend of the Five Rings. I like that more than I like Magic. What the hell is that? Oh, the Dervish Thug. Yes, I remember Spellfire. I do. We got stuck with a whole bunch of it. It's the magic killer. They kept touting it as the magic killer. Ended up with cases of that shit sitting in storage. Started giving them out for bookmarks. In fact, I still have a few of them. Those and Wyvern. I don't know if you remember Wyvern. Precursor to Pokemon, I guess. Pokemon was insane when it came out. Jesus Christ. I would have soccer moms beating the hell out of each other for the last booster pack on the rack. In the middle of the store. In front of their kids. Soccer moms. Literally throwing down. An Illuminati. I still have no idea how to play that game. That was a game that I got only so I could look at the cards. We tried to figure out how to play it one time and it didn't turn out very well. But I don't know why, but for some reason I just enjoyed the the artwork and the humor on the cards. Can't imagine why. Yeah, and then Wizard picked it up, and for the longest time that was the industry standard price guide. Wizard magazine. What the hell is that? Something procced. What the hell am I using that procs? Centurion was hit by non-melee 24 points of damage. I'm not using anything that procs. What's going on here? Weird. Oh, damage shield. Never mind, that was damage shield. But there was some kind of poison proc effect. Yeah, I had the poison thing. It's your DS. Damage shield. Oh, okay. I guess it was the damage shield. It looked like it was like the venomous axe. When it procs, it was that same particle effect. Freaking stupid giants. I don't know why I'm sticking around here. Not getting any XP here. I just like going around killing stuff. Some nights I don't want to do anything. Some nights I just want to run around and punch things. That's what monks are good for. And this is one of those nights. I would if I could. I love killing giants. If I could, I'd be all over it. But the fight will last all of 5 seconds. We had a kid in my shop. He was an odd duck. When you look at the kid, he looks like some big old farm boy. Big oafy looking kid. Kind of buck teeth. Lumbered around a lot. Didn't have a speech impediment really. He just talked like one of those, you know, kind of lazy talk. And but he was like a mathematical genius, this kid was. Very good at breaking down systems, determining odds, that kind of thing. And he was our #1 player in Magic tournaments in the shop. More tournament wins by far than anybody else. We kept track. We had a tracking system. And he decided one summer that he wanted a car. He was old enough to drive one, but he didn't have the money for it. And his mom flat out refused to, get him a car. She didn't think he was ready for it or whatever. But she said if he came up with the money, then she wouldn't stand in his way of getting one. So he did. He logged on to Texas Hold'em, online Texas Hold'em, and played and played and played and played and played. Within 3 months, he had enough money to buy a car. And then he just quit playing after that because he'd achieved his goal. And he was the same way with Magic tournaments. He'd come to the shop and play all the time. He'd play in our tournaments. He'd go to some of the bigger events, but it wasn't that he was looking to win the tournament. He just wanted to play the averages against the other people. Kid was just so brilliant, so incredibly smart, and looked so incredibly stupid at the same time. It threw you off guard when you were first talking to him. It affected your interaction with him. The gun story? The gun story. Tom Robin, what's going on, Thompson? Thompson, James Thompson. The gun story. People are tired of hearing my game shop stories. Oh, nice. Good deal. Keeping the fingers limber. No, I know what story you're talking about. People are tired of hearing about it. Told that story so many times. They're all talking about Magic now anyhow. Somebody mentioned Magic, now they're all in their own little world talking about Magic. Magic does that to you, though. No, 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 no. Oh, I guess you haven't heard it. My very first time in the shop. Alright, a little backstory. I lived in Florida for 15 years. 10 of those years, I worked at a hobby shop called Cosmic Games. And towards the end of the shop's existence, I was the owner of the shop. The owners just gave me the keys one day and moved to Kentucky. My very first time in the shop, I was looking for a place to play some Magic. I just moved to Florida, and I came across this shop. Went in, they were nice folks, they were very welcoming, made me feel like I was at home. So I decided that's going to be my shop. That's where I'm going to spend all my free time. Sitting there playing Magic with somebody. Not a tournament or anything, just some casual play. And this guy comes into the store and just starts screaming at the owner, who I didn't know at this point. And the owner was your typical game shop owner. You know, he had long hair, but he was a, kind of a quiet, timid little guy. A little chunky, a little on the beefy side, heavy side, but not morbidly obese by any stretch. This guy's just going off on him. It's about a pair of sunglasses that he lost, and he figured since he lost them in the shop, it was the owner's responsibility to replace them. And the owner's doing everything he can to be cool, to keep it cool. This guy gets worse and worse and worse. He gets angrier and angrier, and it looks like he's going to start throwing down with the owner. And I like this guy. This guy is really cool to me from the moment I walked in the door. So I didn't want to see anything bad happen to him, and he didn't really look like he could defend himself. So I reach into my pocket, and I have this little Swiss Army knife, and I pop out the blade, and I'm going to jump up and shank this guy if he decides to throw down with the owner. See, there it is again, that poison thing. Something's doing that. Oh, it's my Intimidate. Never mind, I know what it is now. Okay. Eventually, before things do come to blows, and I'm forced to intervene, the guy's buddy comes in from the parking lot and drags the guy outside, and makes some apologies or whatever. Because the guy was being a complete asshole, complete fucking asshole. He had no business being in a game shop anyhow. He wasn't a gamer. But anyhow, his buddy comes in, gets him out of the store, and then they leave. They drive away. And but once the door to the game shop closes, from all around the shop, all you hear are hammers dropping back into place. There were probably 10 guns pointed on this guy the entire time he was in the store. And the second he'd gone to throw down, he would have been just riddled with holes. And I'm talking everything from your standard 9mm to one guy had a single-action cowboy revolver. And fucking Dean had a full-size shotgun pointed at him under the table. Big old double-barrel thing. Not full size, but a big double barrel shotgun that he'd sawed down. He carried it in his bag. So I just quietly Put my knife back in my pocket, went back to my card game, and thought, yeah, I'm going to like it here. Hey, look who it is. And that's when I found out the gamers don't fight people. They shoot them. And I also found out later on that Ed, the owner of the store, had been training martial arts his entire life, and people had seen him literally grab somebody by the throat and throw them over top of a car. So he really had I really had no reason to get involved in the first place, because he more than capable of taking care of himself. He just didn't want to hurt the guy. That's why he was trying to show so much restraint. Oh, everybody was. Well, we had one guy who was a competitive shooter. Dean, the guy with the chop-down shotgun, was also a trick shooter. You know, able to fan the single-action games and whatnot. Guns, rather. You know, he could empty the entire cylinder with one fanning of the hammer. Some really talented people. Tom was the one who had the big old single-action cowboy revolver, though. I went to a range with him one time, and he brought that gun that he had in the game shop that day. Was doing some target shooting with it, and bear in mind it's single action, so you have to draw the hammer to pull the trigger. What was I saying? Oh, incredibly light trigger though, and he turned his head while we were at the range, and he had the gun cocked, but it was pointed down range. It was safely pointed down range, but he turned his head to respond to the statement, and when he did so, his hand dropped a little bit, and just that little bit of extra weight on the trigger was enough to fire the pistol. Blew a hole in the countertop this big. It was a big old 44. And so we just really quietly and discreetly packed everything up and left the range, and big hole in the table, the countertop. Good times. So many good memories with those guys. Dean would, if he got like mice in his apartment, because it was a relatively common thing down in Florida, field mice are everywhere. Rather than set out traps, he'd pull out a little .22 rifle and put a soda bottle over the end of it for a silencer, and just pop rats in his apartment, because it's not going to penetrate the walls. It's only a .22. He didn't really give too many fucks. No, this thing's beyond light. You breathe on it too heavy, and but that's the way he wanted it, because he wanted it light so he could do trick shots. Of course, it means you have to take extra precautions. WC, right next to the Druid Ring. Just goofing around. Prior to that, I'd never even considered owning a gun. Not that I was opposed to guns or anything like that. It's just something that never occurred to me. I don't come from a hunting family. Nobody in my family hunts. So guns just weren't part of my life growing up. But then they took me to the range, and and that was it. I was hooked. It was Richard. The guy's name was Richard. He was a very unstable individual. Very smart, very autistic, very unstable. But he took me to the range the first time, and showed me how effective a crappy little snubby 22 can be in self-defense. Oh no, this wasn't a carry gun, X. This was a gun for a very specific purpose. The one the accidental discharge. That gun was made for a very specific purpose, and something he would never consider carrying. He's a very safe guy. Very safe guy. That was a fluke, and even then, the gun was pointed in the right direction. So, no, they were all very safe. With maybe, no, even Dean was safe. I'm going to say, but even he was safe. Oh, okay. Yeah, anyhow, Richard took me to the range one time. This is after, or no, I was test firing the gun that I ended up getting. Which was a short-barreled Taurus 357 revolver. Yeah, that's all that gun was designed for. That's all it was designed for. It wasn't designed for any carrying of any sort. It was specifically for trick shooting. But he was showing me the effectiveness of a 22, and because it's a 22, it's this tiny little bullet. It's not going to do anything. So he put the target downrange and said, here's a 22 from, let's say 15 meters. Or 25 feet, whatever that is. I don't know. And he shot it, pop, that little pinhole that 22s make, And then he said, now I'm going to show you what a 22 does when you're in your typical assault range. When the person is right there with you, right on top of you, as these things normally occur. And then he pulled the target up very close, or all the way back, and put the gun right up against the target and pulled the trigger, and blew a hole in it this big. And he said, that's why I gave my wife a 22. Because if she's going to get attacked, it's going to be somebody that's right on top of her. And if she puts this up against their stomach, it's going to blow a big hole in their stomach. The bullet itself isn't going to do very much damage, but the explosive force. That's why it's a very good self-defense weapon. From range, no. No, it's not going to do shit. But if you're a woman and you're getting attacked, you're going to be happy you got that little 22 because it's going to blow a hole the size of your fist in their stomach. Now, for men, it tends to be a little different. When men are involved in these things, it tends to be at range. The stores getting robbed, that kind of thing. So it's a little different. But for like a female protection gun, can't beat a little short 22. It's a bear. Oh, he's on the green now. That's sad. But that was the day I fired my 357 for the first time too, and very first shot. Where the hell's he at? Oh, there he is. Yeah, well, yeah. If you got a very tiny penis, of course you're going to want like a 50 BMG or something. Yeah, it was the first time I'd fired my 357. It knocked me right on my ass, very first shot. So I did everything wrong. And first shot, blam, put me right down. Second through 100 shots, I had the time of my freaking life. I fired that thing so much the cylinder fell out. It was a fun day. And that was also the only gun I've ever pulled on somebody. Never fired it. But, boy, that was scary. That was scary. Not what the guy was going to do to me, but me pulling a gun on another human being. That was a scary thing. If you can pull a gun on somebody like that in a situation like that and not have it have a serious impact on you emotionally, I don't mean turn you into a blubbering little girl or anything like that. I mean just very much make you aware of the fact that you're just getting ready to kill somebody. Then you probably shouldn't own a gun in the first place. But yeah, this drunk Mexican came at me with a claw hammer. And all I had to do was pull it. You know, the barrel on a 357 is so freaking big. When somebody sees it, it's like staring down a train tunnel. Did I just steal your kill? Did I seriously just do that? Yeah, but he was drunk. It was a Friday night. I was working at a convenience store, and he was out in the parking lot creating problems. So he went out and told me he had to, get off the property. And he pulls a claw hammer out of his tool belt because it's Friday night. All the Mexicans just got off work and they're all partying for the weekend. And pulls his hammer out and just starts coming out. Oh no, no, that's not going to happen. He just stopped dead in his tracks, turned around, and went home. Only time in my life I've ever had to pull a gun on somebody, though. And I hope it's last. I really do. Wasn't a happy thing. Wasn't a fun thing. Oh, you can't trust gingers. You just can't trust them. And once you get them, you can't get rid of them. Worse than roaches. Hiding all those little nooks and crannies. That's why their hair's red. Ginger story, by the way. Another game shop story. Troy. Big sumbitch. Big sumbitch. Just a big brick wall of a human being. Gentle giant. Very, very happy guy. Very quick with a joke. Just very large. Very large and just naturally powerful individual. Not that he didn't like. Well, he might have lifted weights. I don't know, but he didn't have to. He was adopted. I don't know. There was an issue with his mom or something like that. She had drug problems or something. I don't know. I don't know what the whole backstory was. But Troy was very large, but he also had this shockingly bright red hair, orange hair. And he was a big Warhammer player. Very competitive, though. My God. Away from a gaming table, he's the nicest guy on earth. As soon as you put him at a gaming table, he becomes this complete asshole. So competitive. He was playing against Gilly, the guy who came up with the Hork word. Horcus. The guy who invented that term. At least in that context. Was playing against Troy some Warhammer one day. And he did a die roll that caused Troy to make a reactionary die roll that he ended up botching. End result was one of his tanks took a bad turn, ran through a small battalion of his forces, killed a whole shit ton of his own people with his own tank because of a bad die roll. All right, Troy flipped shit. That's not how you roll a dice. That's how you roll. And he's shaking the table and just red with rage. As a result of this, he has flipped a few tables in the shop at times. We were sitting around playing D&D one night, and he was in the game. And the guy running the game made the comment, "That orc just beat you like a redheaded stepchild." Everybody forgot Troy was sitting at the other end of the table, and the whole table just got quiet. Fortunately, he was completely oblivious to the statement because he was reading the book at the time. But everybody was just sitting there sweating, waiting for him to pick up the table. Really nice guy, though. Outside the shop, he was a really nice guy. He's just so competitive. Well, they get told, though, you know. People always ask gingers about their hair. Heartburn. It's burning a hole through my chest. It's been sitting. The coughing that I've been doing all night, so the acid coming up, tickling my throat. And it's driving me nuts. I so overweight? Oh, copper. Well, you gotta be safe. Where are we at? Taksule. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab another coffee. Alright, sorry about that. Now we are going to Kara Island, apparently. They let me drive. Where are we going? Autopilot. Oh, right there it is. I stole a boat. Oh, very nice. Yeah, I would love to have that. Thank you. I can probably blow it up. Legion Slayer too. Holy shit, that's like that's perfect. Is this even it? That's an amazing combination. I got a couple bags of jet. If I can land jet on it, it would be perfect. Yeah, thank you for that, Cracks. Appreciate that. Just hope I don't blow it up. I like the melees because it's a lot easier to explore on a melee than it is on a mage. In my opinion. Yeah. Precursor of the cat people. Oh, nice. Tiger skin from a tiger, not of our village. Aviax charm and a giant snake fang. He's very happy. Whoa. Very happy people, the Karens, despite the fact that they spent most of their lives in slavery. Where the heck are we at? Fishbone necklace, gorilla hide legs. Mystical Claws of Jojo. There are some good drops here. Yeah. I don't know what we're doing yet, but we're going to do it. Might end up killing the cats. I don't want to, but might have to, because they're there. Yeah, Tiger Island, right over there, but it has evil necromancer on it. And I don't want to deal with that. Oh shit. Faction standing with Bertoxilus got worse. No big deal there. Karen Mujahideen. He's yellow. He's white. So that's the tiger pit. Where the hell's the tigers at? There's supposed to be tigers here. Mujahid. Mujahideen. Something like that, yeah. Dune. Weren't they in Dune? I thought there were supposed to be tigers here. This is Tiger Island. Oh, good. Oh, there they are. That's funny, yeah. He's got a whip. Cat of nine tails. Karen Tiger Safi. That is 9 damage, 36 delay. Feet like a cat proc. Agility proc. Oh, stun. Is there another one? Oh shit. Did you? Makes sense. Can't see what I'm attacking. Oh, fudge is all gone. Oh, excuse me. Meat. Meat. Ruined cat pelt. That's it. There's absolutely nothing else in here. Big old kitty cat. Ow. Say fall 50. Back in just a minute. We're gonna kill these things. I hate to do it, but they are there. They're worth XP. And we're here. What choice do we have, really? But I will be right back in just a moment. Karen headband is dropped from something. We don't know what. Oh, there's a turban. Shazda Assad, level 23 monk. Oh, this one's blue. Oof. Oops. What's going on, Joyce? I resemble that remark. Yeah, the 90s have a lot of explaining to do, don't they? What the hell? My girlfriend threatened to break up with me after seeing those pictures. She'd never seen them before. My son found them in an old box, and they were just too funny not to share. But then I showed them to her, and she said, "We're going to have to break up." Oh, he sells liquor. Bucks, what's going on? Yeah, this is the place that should have the thing that Crystal Caverns has. Hey, look at that, right back where we started from. Oh, no, we're not. Gaming Life, what's going on? Theo. Freaking gorilla just cast a spell. Someone's teaching the gorillas magic. That can't turn out well. Nothing. What you up to? Getting close to the end of my evening. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Very nice. Very nice. That doesn't happen often enough anymore. And it's going to happen even less in the near future. Get it in while you can. Don't be hating on the polygons. They were expensive back in the day. So they didn't want to use too many of them. God, it's kind of hard to compare. The EQ world's bigger. Fairly certain. But it's all zones, you know. So it's kind of hard to tell. I guess if you added up each of the individual zones. But yeah, EverQuest would be way bigger. It's also had a lot more time. Feign death. It's a monk will go up and like smack something and then run away back to the group, and then when it gets the mob back to the group, it'll feign and it sheds all aggro, so that the tank can pick it up. Monks are pullers. Monks. He's dead. Hork foo. Oh, I get to pick his last name. He needs a last name now. At level 20, you get to pick your last name. CK. I keep doing it because I'm trying to raise the skill. The only way to raise your skills in EverQuest is to use them. So you just stand around and fall over a lot like an epileptic. And Hork Fu Jong. Oh, goodness. All right, yeah, we're going to wrap up here. We're going to pick it up here tomorrow night. We got a good spot to kill stuff at tomorrow. We're going to completely shred our XP. Hork Fu CK, I don't get it. Oh! Oh, I do get it. I wonder if it'll let me. Ah, rejected. No, it wouldn't take it. It rejected it. Rejected. Damn it. RY didn't work either. I think it has to be more than 2 characters. Has to be one word. No special characters. I'm gonna get my character banned. They're really strict about that on this server. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be nice. All right, yeah. Yeah, they're not dicks. They just want to keep everything at a certain level, and they've always maintained that philosophy. They rejected our first guild name because it was too similar to a real, well, the Horculoids. We're going to call it. Oh, is that what he'll do? Yeah, too late. I already picked one. Yeah, we were going to name the guild the Horculoids, but they rejected it because it was too close to the Herculoids, that old cartoon. That's where the Fellowship of the Hork came from. Happy accident. So we ended up with a better name. Now our guild name on the live servers is the Horculoids, and I wish it was Fellowship of the Hork. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up there. Sorry you came in at the end, Theo, but you know, I'm going to pick it up here tomorrow night and just EQ it through the weekend. So you folks have a great evening. Thank you very much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, folks.